Hello and welcome back to Azure Terraformer. Today we have another Mailbag episode. I have a question from Krishna 17225, and he asks, let's say we have multiple stages like plan and apply in a YAML deployment. Every time we don't require to run plan. In the classic editor, we can skip the plan while creating the release. The same thing, how can it be achieved using YAML deployments with multi-stage? And I would respond in this way. Every time you do a deployment, you should run plan, and you should review the plan before you approve the apply, which is why I've structured my pipelines to separate the plan and the apply, so that we can only run apply after we've run the plan and we've had a chance to review it, and then we initiate the apply. So I don't think we should be skipping the plan, and definitely you should not skip the plan. The plan should be taken seriously. You should evaluate what the plan is going to do, and then only then you should run apply. Of course, this is for production environments. If you're just doing dev or tests, you probably don't need to worry about it, because it doesn't matter, if the apply does something that breaks the environment, because it doesn't affect anybody. But when you're managing production environments, you should definitely run plan every time, and you should definitely have a quality gate where someone who's responsible for the health of that deployment reviews what the plan's going to do. This is absolutely a best practice. Now, your question about how do we do this in a multi-stage. So unlike the way that I've set it up previously on this channel, how could we do it in a multi-stage? And I think that's a great question. Historically, I think the reason why I didn't set it up with multi-stage is because it couples the plan and the apply together, which basically means that you're going to run the plan and you're always going to run the apply. And I want to have a quality gate in the middle. Historically, I've used release pipelines, in addition to the build pipelines. The build pipelines run the plan, and then the release pipelines run the apply. But I think with multi-stage, there is the capability using the environments feature of Azure DevOps to require an approval step. So we're going to set that up right now, and we'll look at it and kind of compare and see which one we like, which one we like better. So without further ado, let's get going. So here's my two pipelines. I've got a plan and I have an apply. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get back on main. Okay, and now I'm going to check out a new branch, multi-stage, and we'll create a new pipeline file called Terraform multi-stage.yaml. And the multi-stage plan, or the multi-stage pipeline, is going to look very similar to our other pipelines, except instead of just running jobs, like, we're going to actually define stages. And so for the stage, the first stage, we'll just mark it as plan. And then inside here, stage will have jobs, and then we'll have job, and it'll be our plan. And then we'll have another stage. I'll leave that as a placeholder. And this will be where we run apply and jobs apply. Okay. And now what I need to do is basically, I already have the jobs already implemented. So I'm going to go grab my job for Terraform apply, and I'm just gonna move this in here. Okay, and I'm gonna have to highlight it all and just tab it one under there so that the job is loaded there. Okay, so I've got my plan set up there. Now I'm gonna go grab the apply. So let's go grab the job for the apply. Let me just minimize that stage. Okay. So now I've got a job. We've got a stage for plan, and we got a stage for apply. Okay, and we basically just used the same content from these two YAML files in our multi-stage deployment here. So I'm gonna commit this. Add multi-stage, and let's go give this a shot. So in my, is this, yeah, this is my machine images. So my machine images infrastructure. I'm just gonna go add a new pipeline here. And it's gonna be existing YAML. It's not in main, it's gonna be in my multi-stage branch, which means I can only run this YAML file from this branch, which is fine because I'm doing it for testing purposes. So we're going to save that. Okay, so I've essentially set this up. So now if I go and I run, oh yeah, it's not in this branch. There we go. So if I run this, we're gonna see my multi-stage. And it's got a pretty cool UI. I mean, it's got these little boxes and it shows you like the steps that are happening. Now I can review the plan in here, and of course there's no changes. But if there were changes that I wasn't expecting, the fact that it's going to go kick off an auto approve apply is a little bit concerning, right? Because I mean, I would have to pray that I could cancel this before it did any damage. So the fact that we've got multiple stages here, it's not that great. So basically we're always going to run apply. So I'm not a big fan of the multi-stage in the current state because there's no gate, there's no quality check to verify that what Terraform thinks it's going to do is what I actually want it to do. So that I'm not happy with this right now. So what could we do to change it? Well, Azure DevOps does have an environments capability where we can create a new environment, and what is it? It's this thing, right? So I'm just going to call this, the application name is Azure Terraform and Machine Images, and the environment name is dev. And I'm going to use a resource type of none because, you know, we're not. The environments capability also has hooks into Azure, but you don't have to use those hooks. And in this case, we don't want to because we're not tightly coupling here. But now, basically, the environment is a logical container that represents the environment to Azure DevOps. And so it's purely a representational thing. You could add resources like AKS clusters and virtual machines, but we want Terraform to manage those resources. So they're not manually created. I think this add resource stuff is really for people that like manually create stuff in the portal and then they want to reference it within their Azure DevOps environment. That's not what we want to do. So now it gives us this little snippet here that says, hey, if you want to, you can reference this environment in your pipeline. And so the way that we do a deployment to this environment is, instead of, in our Terraform apply, instead of making this a job, it still goes under jobs, but instead of it being called a job, we're going to call this a deployment. And so we're going to change this from job to deployment. Timeout in minutes, that stays the same. We need to set the environment. And here we're going to give the name, and we already have the pipeline variables set. And so we're just going to concatenate them together. Environment name. Beautiful. Now, doing a deployment is a little bit different than doing a job. So instead of just having steps right off the bat, we have to use a strategy block. And then we use a run once block. And then we do our deploy block. And then inside of the deploy, we have our steps. And so I need to indent these steps. And everything else is the same. And one more time. There we go. Now, the last thing that we need to do is, because inside of a deployment, a lot of times when you're doing a deployment, you don't necessarily need the source code. You just need like artifacts or pipeline artifacts. We actually need the source code because Terraform uses the source code in order to evaluate the environment. So right before our first task, we just want to go check out and then self. And so now here, we are going to basically get the source code and dump it into the source folder. And this is going to allow our scripts to run and use the working directory and access the source code files and run Terraform validate and Terraform plan on the Terraform source code, which is what we need to do. So convert to deployment. Okay, so now I'm going to commit this. And let's go back to our pipeline. And let's run that again. Oh. So we need to permit this. I think that's a first time thing that happens. So what, Mark? Why did we do this? Why did we go through this process? It did the exact same thing. It didn't give us a chance to approve it, right? So because we've converted that second job, the apply, into a deployment, now when we go manage the environments, if I go to my environment and I say approvals and checks, then I can go and require an approver. Let's just make myself the approver. And so now when I run this deployment, when I run this pipeline, it's going to actually wait for my approval. And that's going to give me an opportunity to interrogate the plan to see what Terraform thinks it's about to go do. And so now we've successfully completed the plan, but we are waiting on the apply. And we're waiting because there's a check that needs to happen, a review needs to happen. And so I can, because I'm the approver, I can either approve or reject, and I can leave a comment. And so here, this gives me an opportunity to go check the plan. Okay, I see there are no changes, so I'm gonna be good with this. No changes, we're good to go. And now I can run the apply. So So multi-stage, I think multi-stage pipelines is a pretty elegant feature when you couple it with the environment feature of Azure DevOps. And I really, really like it. I really like it. This is pretty much the same functionality that you got with release pipelines previously. And we can use YAML files with this. So big fan. Thanks for your question, Krishna. I think, in my opinion, this is probably the way that I'm gonna use going forward, because I really like having this approval process. I'm not too hung up on the fact that we're using this environments feature, and they're just like kind of empty shells. They're just kind of logical placeholders. But I like this. So I'll be probably switching over to this. So thanks, Krishna, for the question. And I hope you found this useful. If you did, please smash that like button. If you have not subscribed to my channel, please subscribe and hit that little bell so that you can know when my next video drops. That's it. Thanks again. Thanks for watching. This is Azure Terraformer signing off.